akan dirasmikan oleh Yang Berbahagia Naib Canselor UMP. Untuk memberkati majlis kita pada pagi ini, kita mulakan dengan bacaan Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Okay, Alhamdulillah, kita akan memperdengarkan lagu Negaraku. Okay, Alhamdulillah kita seterusnya dengan lagu UMP, Universiti Malaysia Pahang. Alhamdulillah, untuk memberkati lagi majlis kita pada kali ini, kita dengarkan bacaan doa daripada Encik Fazil bin Khalid. Dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, hanya padamu sahaja kami panjatkan kesyukuran atas segala rahmat dan berkat-Mu. Bersempena dengan majlis pada hari ini, kami memohon inayah dan taufik-Mu, kurniakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Kami memohon kepadamu agar engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpahan rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan majlis ini mendapat keredaan dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya pada hari ini kami berkumpul kerana-Mu, Ya Allah. Kami berkumpul untuk menimba ilmu, bertukar pendapat, menyumbangkan buah fikiran, menghubungkan silaturahim dan memberi sokongan ke arah meningkatkan lagi prestasi kami. Kami memohon kekuatan dari hadrat-Mu, Ya Allah, supaya kami yang hadir pada hari ini agar kami dapat melaksanakan segala kebajikan. Dan kami mohon perlindungan dengan Engkau daripada melakukan keburukan. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah kepada kami kekayaan ilmu pengetahuan dan hiasilah diri kami dengan sifat lemah lembut. Serta muliakanlah kami dengan ketakwaan dan indahkanlah diri kami dengan kesihatan. Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, kurniakanlah jua kepada kami kesihatan anggota, kecergasan minda, ketenangan jiwa, kekuatan semangat. Semoga dengannya kami mampu mendepani cabaran, berdaya saing dan mampu mengangkat martabat diri, keluarga, masyarakat dan negara. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Yang berbahagia Profesor IR Dr. Wan Azhar bin Wan Yusoff, Naib Canselor Universiti Malaysia Pahang, yang diraikan Prof. Badrul Khan daripada Amerika Syarikat yang dijemput khas untuk mengisi ucap tama kita pada hari ini berkenaan tajuk kita iaitu New Norms, New Opportunities for Disabilities Through Meaningful Learning. We welcome Prof. Badrul Khan who are joining us now. Seterusnya yang diraikan ikon OKU, pelajar dan juga staf, Encik Muhammad Izwani dan juga Cik Siti Hawa, dan seluruh hadirin dan hadirat yang dihormati sekalian. Kita amat bertuah pada hari ini kerana berpeluang untuk mendengar dan juga meraihkan bersempena dengan Sambutan Bulan OKU 2020. Sebenarnya untuk dikongsikan dengan hadirin dan hadirat yang dikasihi sekalian, Sambutan Bulan OKU ini telah pun bermula semenjak tahun 1992 lagi dan di peringkat dan pada tahun ini di peringkat kebangsaan dan juga di peringkat UMP, sambutan diadakan pada 3 Disember 2020. Di UMP, di Universiti Malaysia Pahang. Okay, selamat datang yang berbahagia Prof. Alhamdulillah speaker yang diraikan Prof. Badrul Khan telah pun bersama-sama dengan kita pada hari ini. Hadirin dan hadirat yang dikasihi sekalian, Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP bertemakan OKUMP, bersama memasyarakatkan teknologi adalah selari dengan tema sambutan di peringkat kebangsaan. secara ringkasnya, kita di Norma yang baharu ini cuba untuk melihat cabaran sebagai satu peluang untuk sama-sama kita upayakan golongan OKU khususnya di Universiti Malaysia Pahang. Kami di unit perkhidmatan OKU yang mana ianya ditubuhkan untuk memberikan perkhidmatan kepada staf dan pelajar OKU di UMP dengan mewujudkan kampus yang inklusif dan juga kondusif, di mana 4 domain perkhidmatan utama merangkumi tadbir urus, pengajaran dan pembelajaran, accessibility dan ketersambungan persekitaran kampus dan perkhidmatan sokongan. Dengan wujudnya unit perkhidmatan OKU ini, dihasratkan kami mampu untuk pakej integrasi program pemulihan dan pengupayaan yang sistematik. Dalam masa yang sama, kami berhasrat untuk membina jenama unggul warga OKUM yang unggul, mampan dan profesional atau singkatannya melalui sinergi teknologi dan juga komuniti. Alhamdulillah, sehingga 11 November 2020, kami mempunyai 16 orang pelajar dan juga 3 orang staf OKU yang berdaftar. Dengan harapan kami dengan adanya majlis yang julung kali dan seumpamanya diadakan, ia mampu untuk menjadi satu pencetus kepada program celik OKU yang dirasakan sangat penting untuk bersama-sama kita mendapatkan sinergi bukan sahaja dari dalam juga dari luar Universiti Malaysia Pahang untuk memberikan suatu ekosistem yang kondusif kepada warga OKU. Kami juga alhamdulillah telah dan sedang merancang siri program yang bertemakan OKUM bersama memasyarakatkan teknologi. Dalam erti kata lain, OKUM di UMP berhasrat untuk sama-sama menyumbang dan juga menabur budi kepada masyarakat yang diupayakan oleh teknologi. Dan dengan ini diharapkan pihak OKUM akan mendapat sokongan padu bukan saja daripada dalam UMP tetapi daripada lain-lain badan termasuklah kesukarelawanan dan juga badan-badan bukan kerajaan. Dan setakat ni alhamdulillah kami telah pun menerima maklum balas yang positif dan memberangsangkan. Cukup setakat ini dahulu dengan tidak memanjangkan kalam. Kita telah pun tiba ke kemuncak dan juga acara pada hari ini, iaitu majlis dengan segala hormatnya akan menjemput yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. IR Dr. Wan Azhar bin Wan Yusoff, Naib Canselor Universiti Malaysia Pahang, untuk merasmikan Majlis Apresiasi dan Perasmian Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP 2020. Dipersilakan. Prof, mohon unmute mikrofon Prof.
Ya.
Kami tak boleh dengar. Okey.
Can you listen now?
Okey, clear, alhamdulillah.
Let me, I need to Set up this one. Okay, terima kasih saudari pengacara majlis. Ulang semula. Dan rakan-rakan saya daripada UMP. First of all, I would like to welcome Prof. Dr. Badrul Khan, which I believe is in US now, to be part of our program. So welcome Prof. Dr. Badrul, who is the founder of McWhedon Education USA. We will hear a talk from Dr. later with the team, I think new opportunities for disabilities, empowerment via meaningful e-learning. I hope we will have an inspiring talk later. With that, I would like to move my speech in bahasa Melayu. So, in order to continue this event. Yang hormat Profesor Datuk Teknologis Dr. Yusri bin Zainuddin, Deputy Vice Chancellor, ahli-ehwal pelajar dan alumni. Yang berbahagia Profesor Teknologis Dr. Kamal Zuhairi, Timbalan Naib Chancellor Penyelidikan dan Inovasi. Berbahagia juga Profesor Maya Dr. Muhammad Ridwan, Ketua Pengawal Operasi, Bendahari Cik Zainuddin Osman, Ketua Pustakawan Cik Azman, Nasihat Undang-Undang Datin Wan Maizurina, Dekan-Dekan Kanan, Dekan-Dekan, Pengarah, Ketua-Ketua Pusat Tanggungjawab. Tak lupakan Dr. Monira binti Abdul Razak, Pengarah kepada Unit Perkhidmatan OKU UMP, kepada Presiden Kelab OKU UMP, Saudari Siti Hawa binti Afandi, yang mana merupakan juga alumni UMP, dan kepada semua barisan kepimpinan Kelab OKU UMP. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, para hadirin dalam komuniti Maya yang dikasihi sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, sukalah saya merafatkan setinggi-tinggi kesyukuran kehadrat Allah Ta'ala kerana dengan limpah rahmat, kurnia dan izinnya maka saya dapat hadir secara maya untuk turut serta memeriahkan acara Majlis Apresiasi dan Perasmian Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP 2020 ini. Pihak pengurusan sesungguhnya amat mengalu-alukan inisiatif yang diambil oleh Unit Perkhidmatan OKU UMP untuk menganjurkan majlis ini sebagai manifestasi dan juga apresiasi terhadap warga OKU untuk menghargai segala inisiatif, pencapaian dan sumbangan warga OKU serta para penggeraknya dalam menyediakan kampus yang inklusif dan kondusif di UMP. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saudara-saudari sekalian, inisiatif Majlis Apresiasi dan Perasmian Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP membuktikan komitmen pihak pengurusan universiti untuk mengiktiraf segala peranan gabungan daripada mahasiswa dan staf UMP dalam konteks menyediakan perkhidmatan kampus yang inklusif dan kondusif kepada semua warga OKU. Selari dengan polisi OKU Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, khususnya dalam mematuhi piawaian audit sistem My University OKU atau MyU OKU dengan menggunakan 4 domain, iaitu pertama khidmat sokongan, kedua accessibility, ketiga infra dan keempat pengajaran dan pembelajaran serta tadbir urus. So ini merupakan 4 elemen dalam audit sistem OKU yang kita hendak laksanakan di UMP. Program ini juga akan mengangkat agenda OKU secara global untuk mengupayakan OKU yang inklusif dan bermaruah yang bertepatan dengan tema sambutan di peringkat kebangsaan pada tahun ini, iaitu membina kesejahteraan OKU mendepani cabaran. Justru tema bulan OKU UMP tahun ini adalah gabungan aspirasi UMP iaitu Teknologi untuk Masyarakat dan Aspirasi Nasional yang bertemakan, yang menjadi temanya ialah OKUMP bersama masyarakat, memasyarakatkan teknologi. So OKUMP adalah OKU untuk UMP. Alhamdulillah, keunikan agenda dan inisiatif program OKU di UMP adalah berteraskan teknologi. Tema OKU UMP bersama memasyarakatkan teknologi memberikan jiwa kepada agenda dan inisiatif OKU UMP. Tema ini memberikan hala tuju dan gambaran proaktif komuniti OKU UMP yang dikenali sebagai macam mana yang nak sebut ni, OKUMP. OKUMP. Elemen inklusif diserlahkan dalam setiap penglibatan aktif, bermula dari memberi input polisi OKU hinggalah kepada menggerakkan aktiviti secara berpasukan dan juga bersama komuniti setempat dan antarabangsa. Sinergi proaktif ini membentuk satu ekosistem yang simbiotik dan unik dalam merealisasikan kampus yang inklusif dan kondusif berasaskan teknologi. Keterbatasan fizikal OKU diupayakan dengan teknologi. Teknologi memberi peluang baharu kepada golongan ini untuk bersama berbudi kepada komuniti. Ini memberikan motivasi dan inspirasi dalam kalangan OKU khususnya dan juga komuniti secara amnya. Suasana harmoni ini memupuk literasi atau celik OKU yang semula jadi. Teknologi berorientasikan pelantar maya atau e-platform membuka lebih banyak ruang dan peluang untuk mengupayakan mereka tampil dalam khalayak umum serta meneruskan kelangsungan hidup yang ceria dan bermaruah. Alhamdulillah, ini terbukti apabila ruang dan peluang penglibatan bersepadu serta julung kali dan secara langsung warga OKUMP dalam menganjurkan Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP 2020. Sebagai bukti dan pembuka tirai ialah program Bicara Inspirasi OKUMP 2020 telah mendapat sambutan yang memberangsangkan dalam komiti maya dari dalam dan luar UMP. Ia telah menarik minat serta maklum balas yang sebanyak 322 tontonan dan penyertaan. Tahniah OKUMP. Norma baharu yang tercetus dari pandemik COVID-19 sekali lagi membuka ruang baharu serta melakar sejarah tersendiri kerana komitmen warga OKUMP untuk menerjemahkan aspirasi UMP yang berteraskan teknologi kepada acara maya. Ini apabila penganjuran program sebulan bermula daripada 3 Disember hingga 31 Disember berlangsung sepenuhnya dalam talian. Saya amat sukacita kerana unit perkhidmatan OKU UMP atau singkatannya sekali lagi OKUMP yang usianya sebelum setahun telah pun mengambil inisiatif untuk menggerakkan penganjuran Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP. Alhamdulillah, hasil muafakat dan keterlibatan warga UMP, khususnya kelab OKUMP, mampu menganjurkan program yang bermakna ini. Diharapkan inisiatif sebegini akan berterusan untuk kelestarian agenda kampus inklusif dan kondusif bagi warga OKU. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saudara-saudara sekalian, penjanamaan warga OKUMP iaitu unggul, mampan dan profesional atau singkatannya UMP adalah simbolik hasrat pembangunan insan holistik OKUMP. Mereka ingin tampil bersama menyumbang secara optimum kepada komuniti OKU dan juga umum. Mereka berhasrat untuk mengoptimumkan potensi diri dan bakat yang ada melalui medium teknologi, melalui budi dan bakti yang dicurahkan, melalui idea, sistem, hasil karya kreatif, inspirasi dan sebagainya yang disalurkan melalui sebaran pelantar maya sama ada dalam bentuk produk kreatif maupun akademik dan teknikal adalah komitmen mereka menyumbang kepada masyarakat. Formula sinergi teknologi dan komuniti telah dikenal pasti sebagai wadah untuk memberi maklumat berguna serta menerima maklum balas secara langsung dan tidak langsung daripada masyarakat. Ringkasnya, mereka cuba untuk memberi imej dan impak yang lebih positif, proaktif dan melengkapi kepada masyarakat umum sama ada di dalam atau di luar UMP. Stigma negatif dan stereotip yang diterima dari masyarakat yang belum celik OKU cuba dineutralkan dengan budi dan bakti melalui penglibatan langsung di media sosial dalam bentuk siri bual bicara seperti Bicara Inspirasi OKU UMP yang dikenali sebagai BIO, Bicara OKU UMP. Dari OKU kepada OKU untuk semua. Keupayaan memberi kesedaran celik OKU melalui jenama UMP ini diharapkan memberi impak yang konsisten dan menyeluruh. Ini kerana tanpa usaha bersepadu dan pelibatan semua pihak, usaha ini sukar untuk dijayakan. Keterlibatan semua yang merangkumi komuniti dalam dan luar UMP di peringkat dalaman, nasional dan global, termasuk badan sukarelawan dan bukan kerajaan NGO, serta industri, serta sektor korporat, mampu menjadikan agenda inklusif dan kondisif sebagai satu kenyataan. Pemupukan bakat secara berterusan, selari dengan proses pemulihan, juga melahirkan suri teladang dalam kalangan OKU, merentas keupayaan. Pihak UMP mengucapkan syabas dan tahniah kepada ikon pelajar OKU, iaitu Presiden kita, Cik Siti Hawa binti Apandi, yang cemerlang dalam bidang akademik serta mengharumkan universiti di peringkat kebangsaan dan pertandingan antarabangsa. Tidak ketinggalan iaitu penghidap penyakit strok akut iaitu Cik Muhammad Izwani bin Muhammad Hassan yang diiktiraf sebagai pemenang anugerah penulis prolific UMP di atas kecemerlangan sumbangan beliau dalam menghasilkan karya ilmiah yang berkualiti hingga ke pesada antarabangsa. Tahniah kepada sekali lagi pada Cik Siti Hawa dan juga Cik Muhammad Izwani. Sesungguhnya inilah citra dan petanda aras jenama unggul, mampan dan profesional atau singkatannya UMP yang amat dibanggakan. Lebih ikonik, kejayaan yang ditempa adalah hasil penglibatan secara terbuka dalam masyarakat yang tidak hanya bersaing dalam Liga OKU. Syabas dan amat luar biasa. Sewajarnya jenama UMP ini mengambil semangat kata-kata Allahyarham Profesor Datuk Dr. Ismail Saleh yang merupakan ikon OKU. Beliau yang cacat penglihatan diteladani dengan pencapaian luar biasa sepanjang hayat beliau yang terkenal dengan ungkapan berikut. Jadilah orang yang ketiadaannya dicari, kehadirannya dinanti, kepergiannya dirindui, kematiannya ditangisi, dan kebaikannya diteladani. Tuan-tuan, puan-puan, saudara dan saudari sekalian, sebelum mengakhiri ucapan ini, saya ingin merakamkan setinggi-tinggi ucapan penghargaan kepada semua yang terlibat, yang menjadi penggerak serta penyumbang idea dan tenaga dalam menjayakan Majlis Aspirasi dan Sambutan Bulan OKU 2020 ini. Semoga terus menyumbang dengan penuh keikhlasan, komitmen dan kesungguhan. Memandangkan kita kini berada di situasi norma baharu dan peningkatan kes COVID-19, diharapkan kita lebih cakna menjaga kesihatan dan mematuhi prosedur yang ditetapkan oleh Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Kita perlu mengambil serius untuk bersama mencegah penularan pandemik ini walau dalam masa yang sama beriltizam untuk berkhidmat serta mencapai kecemerlangan dengan kreatif dan berinovasi dalam suasana yang mencabar mutakhir ini. Pada Encik Muhammad Izwani bin Muhammad Hassan yang dinobatkan sebagai UMP dan juga Cik Siti Hawa binti Apandi sebagai ikon pelajar OKU UMP. Syabas dan tahniah saya ucapkan sekali lagi dan semoga kejayaan anda akan menginspirasi pula rakan-rakan OKU yang lain dan semuanya. Akhirnya dengan lafaz yang mulia, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, saya dengan sukacitanya merasmikan Majlis Apresiasi dan Perasmian Sambutan Bulan OKU UMP 2020. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, terima kasih diucapkan kepada yang berbahagia Profesor IR Dr. Wan Azhar bin Wan Yusoff di atas ucapan dan juga sekaligus merasmikan sambutan Majlis Bulan OKU UMP 2020. Majlis disempurnakan juga dengan montaj. Dipersilakan. Tayangan montaj. Terima kasih.
Unmute.
Terima kasih kepada kru teknikal atas tayangan montaj tadi. Terima kasih Prof. Majlis dengan ini menjemput Cik Siti Hawa binti Apandi untuk memperkenalkan kelab OKU. Dipersilakan.
Okey. Boleh nampak slide kan?
Boleh.
Okey. Terima kasih Dr. Munirah. Okey, saya Siti Hawa selaku Presiden Kelab OKU UMP atau singkatannya OkUMP akan memperkenalkan kelab ni. Okey, kelab ni ditubuhkan untuk memberikan perkhidmatan kepada staf dan pelajar OKU di UMP dengan mewujudkan kampus yang inklusif dan kondusif. Kelab ni baru je ditubuhkan dan kami menggunakan WhatsApp group sebagai medium untuk berinteraksi. Keunikan keahlian kelab ni ianya terbuka kepada semua warga UMP dan ianya bertindak selaku sistem sokongan kepada warga OKU UMP, iaitu gabungan 3 kategori terdiri daripada pelajar OKU, staf OKU dan staf atau pelajar dengan tanggungan OKU. Seterusnya, objektif kelab ni untuk mewujudkan persekitaran inklusif dan kondusif kepada warga OKU UMP, mengoptimalkan potensi dan bakat warga OKU melalui pakej integrasi program pemulihan dan pengupayaan yang sistematik, dan seterusnya menjana jenama warga OKU UMP yang unggul, mampan dan profesional melalui sinergi teknologi untuk komuniti. Kelab ni aktiviti sulung ialah sambutan bulan OKU UMP yang berlangsung dari 3 Disember hingga 31 Disember dengan tema OKU bersama memasyarakatkan teknologi. Seterusnya ni jawatan kuasa tertinggi kelab diketuai pengarah Dr. Munirah dan dibantu dengan panel penasihat Encik Azhar, Encik Muhammad Izwani dan Encik Fazil, dan saya selaku Presiden Kelab dibantu oleh Timbalan Presiden, Setiausaha dan Bendahari. Seterusnya ni statistik warga OKU UMP yang terdiri daripada pelajar dan staf mengikut kategori OKU yang jumlahnya semuanya ada 19 orang. Seterusnya ni staf OKU UMP ada 3 orang. Seterusnya ni pelajar di Fakulti Komputeran seramai 8 orang. Seterusnya pelajar di Fakulti Teknologi Kejuruteraan Kimia dan Proses seramai 2 orang. Dan seterusnya pelajar OKU di Kolej Kejuruteraan seramai 4 orang. Pelajar OKU di Fakulti Kejuruteraan Elektrik dan Elektronik seorang, dan seorang lagi di Fakulti Sains dan Teknologi Industri. Okey, itu saja dari saya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Cik Siti Hawa. Majlis seterusnya menjemput Encik Muhammad Izwani Hassan untuk memberikan sepatah 2 kata selaku pemenang anugerah ikon staf OKU. Dipersilakan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya mengucapkan di sini saya mengucapkan sekelum penghargaan dan ucapan terima kasih terutama sekali kepada yang berbahagia Naib Canselor Prof IRR Dr. Wan Azhar, Dr. Munira selaku pengarah unit OKU, pengurusan tertinggi UMP dan rakan-rakan para pensyarah serta para pelajar sekalian. So, terima kasihlah untuk penghargaan hari ini. Itu sajalah.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Izwani untuk makluman hadirin dan hadirat sekalian. Kami memang merancang untuk satu sesi yang ringkas tapi bermakna, dan itulah juga had masa juga untuk memberikan ucapan. Jadi dengan tidak memanjangkan kalam, disilakan penerima anugerah ikon OKU bagi kategori pelajar Cik Siti Hawa Apandi untuk memberikan sepatah 2 kata. Dipersilakan.
Okey. Terima kasih untuk anugerah ni lah. Terutama terima kasih saya nak ucapkan kepada mama saya Puan Zaidah Tamjiz dan UMP kerana memberi peluang untuk saya menimba ilmu di UMP, dan semua staf dan pensyarah di Fakulti Komputeran kerana atas bantuan dan kerjasama mereka. Jasa anda semua tidak terbalas. Terima kasih.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay. Alhamdulillah kita telah pun selesai dengan mengumumkan dan juga mendengar ucapan daripada kedua-dua ikon OKU UMP, iaitu Cik Siti Hawa Apandi bagi kategori pelajar dan juga bagi kategori staf Encik Muhammad Izwani Hassan. Seperti mana yang telah disebutkan dan diwar-warkan dalam ucapan yang berbahagia Naib Chancellor, pemilihan kriteria pemilihan kedua-dua mereka juga adalah berdasarkan pencapaian luar biasa oleh mereka dalam bidang masing-masing. Majlis diserikan lagi dengan pameran, iaitu bagi slot apresiasi bakat oleh Encik Nur Azhar bin Abdul Rasid, iaitu Pereka Grafik UMP. Dipersilakan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Yang saya hormati
Prof IR Dr. Azhar bin Wan Yusoff, Naib Canselor UMP, Dr. Munira Abdul Razak, pengarah unit OKU UMP, tetamu kelas kita Prof Badrukan, rakan-rakan sekalian pengurusan UMP, dan juga mungkin para hadirin yang ada bersama secara maya dan online pada hari ini. Jadi syukur Alhamdulillah saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada unit OKU UMP kerana memberi peluang dan ruang pada saya untuk terus serta pada program pada hari ini dalam perkongsian secara maya di bawah tajuk apresiasi bakat yang memberi peluang pada saya mengetengahkan bidang fotografi lah. Jadi tugas saya sebagai pelakon grafik memang berkait rapat dengan fotografi ini. Jadi lama kelamaan minat tu jadi semakin mendalam dan orang kata apa, dia kekal menjadi orang kata apa, dalam keadaan masa yang agak terhad ni saya berkongsi secara ringkas je lah. Jadi kalau ikutkan perancangan awal pameran ni dibuat secara fizikal di library UMP Pekan lah. Jadi saya kongsikan sedikit je lah secara maya di sini. Okey, ni beberapa gambar yang saya ambil. Koleksi gambar tu banyak, jadi saya ambil yang seringkas je lah. Ini bangunan pentadbiran kita di UMP Pekan, diambil pada baru-baru ni lah. Ketika matahari terbit pada pukul 7.30 pagi lah. Okey, saya buat pantas je lah sebab kata masa agak terhad. Ikut kampus UMP. Ini gambar kereta ketika saya ada sesi bersama Tun Mahathir di Putrajaya. Saya buatkan secara hitam putih supaya dia nampak orang kata klasik. Ini gambar di Kuala Pahang. Budak di Kuala Pahang di mandi sungai. Ini juga di Kuala Pahang. Yang hitam putih ni di Vietnam. Dan ini sebelah ni gambar kucing sebagai menggunakan teknik close up lah. Ini juga gambar di UMP yang saya ambil daripada berbagai angle lah, daripada low angle. Ini gambar di luar, ini gambar UMP. Ini gambar saya ambil selepas subuh. Yang sebelah kiri warna biru ni selepas subuh. Ini gambar UMP. Ketika matahari terbit sebelah pagi dia ada reflection sikit.
Cik Azhar, boleh tayangkan gambar?
Sekejap. Saya tayang semula tadi tak keluar ya?
Tadi tak keluar.
Ni dah keluar belum?
Dah, cantik.
Okey, ni saya cepat je lah ya. Okey. Gambar-gambar ni ada yang saya dah print dan dipamerkan di galeri di UMP Pekan lah. Ni sebahagian koleksi yang ada. Ni yang di UMP Pekan. Ada pamer di UMP Pekan. Jadi orang kata kalau kongsian sermaya boleh lawat Instagram saya lah. Di situ ada gambar-gambar yang secara online lah boleh lihat. Jadi saya mengucapkan terima kasihlah kepada unit OKU UMP kerana memberi peluang pada saya untuk terus dalam sambutan pada kali ini. Jadi sekian, terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Cik Nur Azhar yang mengisi slot apresiasi bakat. pada yang berminat untuk mendapatkan karya beliau juga boleh mendapatkannya dengan harga kasih sayang. Itu pesanan daripada penaja Cik Azhar, dan boleh juga untuk melihat secara fizikal pameran sulung dan juga solo daripada Cik Azhar kita. We would like to welcome Prof. Rozahan and also Prof. Badrul Hudahan. We just would like to share that we just having photography from collection, from Mr. Nur Azhar, which is one of our disability staff in UMP. Okay, we are approaching Prof. Badrul Han slot. We just have, do you mind, Prof? We proceed with just 1 and 2 more slots before we allow you to share with us your speech. Okay, Prof?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Just tell me when to speak. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Okay, dengan tidak melengahkan masa, kami rasanya tidak lengkap jika tidak berkongsi tulang belakang dan juga satu lagi ialah kami ingin berkongsi dari segi komitmen perkhidmatan sokongan, iaitu perkhidmatan sokongan akademik bagi ruang Mesra OKU. Bagi pihak Universiti dan juga OkUMP, kami nak merakamkan ucapan penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada Perpustakaan UMP, khususnya Tuan Azman dan juga pasukan di atas komitmen menyokong usaha ini. Okay, seperti yang kita lihat di skrin adalah parkir mengikut spesifikasi yang ditetapkan oleh Universal Design dengan laluan kerusi roda juga menepati Universal Design. Ini adalah laluan masuk di lobi dan ruang bilik 24 jam yang ruangnya adalah Mesra Pergerakan OKU. Ini adalah ruang kawasan komuniti untuk berinteraksi dan untuk bersosial. Kami juga menyediakan lounge eksekutif yang selesa, tandas Mesra OKU, dan itu adalah sebahagian daripada inisiatif UMP, komitmen untuk menyediakan perkhidmatan kepada warga OKU yang inklusif dan kondusif. Akhirnya kami nak memperkenalkan juga tulang belakang kepada program yang kami anjurkan sepanjang bulan ini bermula 3 Disember hinggalah 17 Disember. Kami perkenalkan tonggak iaitu kru teknikal kami. Maafkan saya. Okey, sebelum tu kami berbesar hati untuk mempromosi 2 produk oleh OKU, iaitu OkUMP Adventures Global Academy, iaitu OKGA, di mana kami menawarkan 11 jenis perkhidmatan dan kami menawarkan 5 kategori perkhidmatan, iaitu latihan dan juga coaching, konsultansi, runding cara, pembangunan modul dan juga dari segi data optimizing. Dan kami percaya kepada teamwork, iaitu OKGA Crew. Okay. Dan tagline kami adalah unggul, mampan dan profesional, iaitu UMP. Ini adalah produk dan projek yang diketuai oleh saya sendiri dan ini kami lakukan secara berpasukan. Kami juga ingin memperkenalkan produk oleh Encik Izwani. Okey, produk Encik Izwani adalah software Izwani Inazumajab. software pengajaran bahasa Jepun. Okay, dan software ini ataupun perisian ini diguna pakailah secara meluas dalam kalangan pelajar yang mengambil bahasa Jepun. Dan seperti yang diwar-warkan beberapa kali, kami akhirnya berkongsi juga. Ini adalah aplikasi produk mengikut peringkat, iaitu peringkat beginner dan juga advance, peringkat asas dan juga peringkat
Editan wa Honda no engineer desu.
Okey, ini adalah dari segi aplikasi penggunaannya. Okey. Dengan karakter hiragana. Ya. Okey, maafkan pihak kami kerana kesuntukan masa. Dan terima kasih kepada kru teknikal yang bertungkus lumus untuk menjayakan sesi ini. Dan akhir sekali kami nak memperkenalkan kru teknikal kami. Okay, terima kasih kepada alumni UMP Encik Nasrul Arif Zakria yang sekarang merupakan yang juga merupakan ketua kepada Okega Crew dan juga Encik Tai Jiayi. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Okay. Assalamualaikum and good morning again. Now we would like to invite our speaker, Prof. Badrul Hudahan. So before he gives his speech, perhaps I can introduce Prof. Badrul Hudahan, which is a world-renowned speaker, author, educator and consultant in the field of e-learning and educational technology. And perhaps we are wondering why we have Prof. Badrul Hudahan as an e-learning scholar with us here. Actually is to highlight on how this challenge can serve as opportunity, especially to empower the disability. So without further ado, let us invite Prof. Badrul Khan to give his speech. Please, welcome.
Can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum
Yes.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. First of all, I'd like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Yusoff, Dr. Munira Rajak for inviting me to share my experience about e-learning, new norms, new opportunities for disabilities, empowerment via meaningful e-learning. I hope you can all hear me okay, because I cannot hear. I just using the microphone so that if you can hear fine, then I can continue. So today is a very important day because I'm a Bangladeshi American. So today is 16th December. It is a victory day for Bangladesh. So that's why I'm wearing a tie with Bangladesh, map in there. And I thank all participants, especially those who are watching from Bangladesh and globally. Shubho Bijoy Divas. Alrighty. So it is a great honor to speak to you today about e-learning and how it can be used for all learners. All learners that include people with disabilities can enjoy e-learning. My name is Badrul Khan. I am the founder of McQueen Education, which provide learning and staff development for online education. So McQueen Education is learning without boundaries. And I appreciate University of Malaysia, Pahang, UMP, to arrange this webinar. It is always different when you are there. It's always easier, but we are using technology, and technology have some issues always. So sometimes you'll see it will be slower. So that's the reality. So what can I say today? Basically, online education, e-learning, what is it? Simply, E means any electronic devices which can be used to promote learning is e-learning. And for e-learning, so it is a method, an instructional method that allows students and content and the teachers and professor can be in different places. And it is a flexible. So you have students here, learners there, content could come from somewhere else too. So it is a very virtual learning environment. And you have to understand why are we now focusing more on virtual learning or digital learning, because it is, we are really realizing the needs for virtual learning so much now than we used to be. Because of lockdowns, we have students globally are staying home, taking their classes online. The question is online is any better than face-to-face education? Well, online education is different than face-to-face classroom education. Face-to-face classroom education is basically a closed system. You are in front of a teacher or professor, and you have in a room is a closed system. On the other hand, online is an open system where teacher, professor, or the content that you are studying, or the students, they could be located in different parts of even the world. Right now, I'm in the United States. From my home, I'm speaking. And maybe some of the participants in today's webinar come from different places of the world. But we are trying to we wanted to open up a dialogue, discuss on areas that interest the most these days. So as long as you understand that online education is different, is a paradigm shift from classroom-based instruction. In 1995, when I was working on web-based instruction, behind me, all my books are there. Some of my books are there. There's one called Web-Based Instruction. When it came in 1996, people are wondering whether we will be able to learn using virtual method. So it was difficult for me when I speak in different conferences that to convince people whether we can have online education as a valid method for instruction. But after the COVID-19 hit, economy collapsed globally. People were working from home, still are some of the people who can. academic institution, they lock down. In the United States, still the schools are closed, with some exception. So this is a situation. Have we ever expected this? Maybe we did not. But those of us who are working in e-learning, online education, we feel that e-learning could be a valid alternative method to deliver instruction and learning. Obviously, there are some limitations, but it is possible. So nowadays, I don't have to convince people that let's do online education or e-learning or remote learning. Because of the situation, because of the pandemic, we are locked down at homes. Some of us teaching in online, and the students are taking online classes. Obviously, there are situations where you will have problems. In fact, I'm writing a position paper to submit to the new administration for the US government. It's called Nations Education at Risk. So because of pandemic, the schools were not really well prepared. Some of them have prepared, some of them underprepared, some of them were unprepared. We call it flat-footed, meaning that all of a sudden it came and they had to continue to teach. And where teachers had enough experience about online education, have they taught completely online? How about the students? So it means it's a situation, is something that we need to learn. We have gone through from, in the United States, the schools were closed from March. Now almost 8-9 months, we are learning so many things. Two things I use called sin of commission, sin of omission. Sin of commissions mean that whatever we used did not work. Sin of omission, that whatever we should have used did not use. So we need to think about what works and what didn't work. So then, next time, another pandemic, another situation, we have to get ready. But it is possible that e-learning has become a valid way of offering courses, learning, and also the digital learning could be used in all different places in government, in corporations, and schools for their staff development. So the question is, why not think about how we actually get ourselves ready for online education? And this online education, alhamdulillah, it has so much to offer. Even the people with disability would enjoy the full opportunity to learn. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but what I will bring up a model, it will be very inclusive for all learners. Now, you may have situation that you may like e-learning. I like e-learning. From 1995 to now, I've been working on e-learning, researching it, but there are complications. It's a complex learning environment, meaning that you just cannot transfer what you teach face-to-face completely to an online method unless you have done all your homework, understand what is the content you are trying to learn or you're trying to teach, content types. You have to understand the audience. Are the students ready? You need the readiness of the learners, how ready they are. How about the instructor? How about the teacher? Are they ready? So there are a lot of investigation one has to do. And that was the question I had in my mind. I did the research. So you see, I'm not trying to convince you that e-learning is the only way to go, but it is a valid way to go if you can do it right. So first of all, you have to think about in e-learning, who are the stakeholders? The first stakeholders meaning in here, who have interest or stake in the system. So the first stakeholder groups are the learners. And after the learners, you have instructors, teachers, you have technical staff, support staff, organization itself, also stakeholder. So you need to think about what are the requirement. What are the requirement for learners to have for their e-learning? Learners want their learning material should be easily accessible, clearly organized, well written, or authoritatively presented, has to be learner-centered, affordable, efficient, flexible, and has a facilitated environment. So these are the requirements of learners about e-learning. See, they are the most important stakeholders. So how about teachers? What they want? They want to see that learners display a high level of participation and success in meeting the course goals and objectives, and they can then e-learning will be meaningful to the instructors, the teachers. How about the support services staff, technical support staff? When learners enjoy all available support services provided in the course without any interruptions, it makes support services staff happy as they strive to provide easy to use, reliable services. Now, most important stakeholder is your university, your school, your college, your organization. So e-learning will be meaningful to your organization when it has a sound return on investment, a moderate to high level of learner satisfaction with both the quality of instruction and all support services and low dropout rate. So you see, you need to start thinking about who are your stakeholders, how you can make your offerings e-learning meaningful. Today we are talking about people with disabilities, how you will make them learn using this technology, using e-learning method. So that's going to be very important. So today, what I did many years ago, like I said in 95, when I was a professor at the University of Texas, I was thinking, because my book, Web-Based Instruction, became a bestseller. And 95 to 96, I was thinking that how can we create a meaningful online learning or e-learning or web-based instruction? Then I said, okay, let's do this way. I'm going to send one of my students from University of Texas, and maybe he is in Amazon forest. And he will take a course called Instruction Design from me, but he will be on the remote on his laptop. So I was thinking, if he is in Amazon forest with his laptop, and how would he access to my course? And what would be different issues that he needs us to solve so that he can learn? So having said that, I find many, many issues. He would be thinking, where is the library? I don't see my professor. I don't see my teacher. I don't see my fellow peers, students. How I'm going to be learning? How about my internet connection? How about the library? And I'm in the jungle and I can learn. So then I started thinking all different issues. And since then, since the publication of my web-based instruction, that was a bestseller in '96. So I've been traveling to different countries and talking and promoting web-based instruction. And many people have so many different questions. And I came back and I started thinking about all the issues, and I clustered them to create a framework, and which is, many of you would know, a framework is a meaningful e-learning. So I found that there are 8 important issues. Some are pedagogical, and framework looks like this, octagon framework. You see, some are pedagogical, that deals with learning and teaching issues. Technological issues deals with infrastructure planning, hardware, software. Then you have interface design, deal with look and feel of the e-learning, screen that you develop. Evaluation of instructor, evaluation of technical support and all support services, also the assessment of learner. The next thing, you have the management. Managements deal with maintenance of e-learning materials. Resource support, that includes support for library support, technical support, counseling support. The next one you see right here is called ethical. Ethical consideration has so many different things like a geographical diversity, legal issues, etc. And last one is institutional. Academic affairs, student services, administrative services. So these are all together. I use them to create an e-learning framework. Now, so what you need to do, you need to put the learner at the center of this framework. Put each stakeholder groups, learners, teachers, technical support staff at the center of the framework, and ask questions along the 8 dimension. By doing this exercise, you will be able to understand critical issues for each group. So when you're creating e-learning, you're not only creating for learners, you're creating for others also. They take part in it so that it improves learning. So beneficial are the learners. So, but you need to have technical support here and ask questions around their dimension, what they're supposed to do and how they're doing. You see? So then you have to think about this 8 dimension, which I must introduce you this. This is a book that came from Malaysia. This is the translation of my e-learning book into Malay language. Professor Dr. Rosina Jamaluddin from USM. I was there, and that's where I believe I met Dr. Munirul Rajak and many others. And I've been to Malaysia many different times and speak in different universities. So this book, which is in Malay language, and my e-learning book has been translated into 22 languages, including Malay. So if you would like to have this copy of this book, you can always search for it. So many of the things that I'm discussing today are in this book. Dr. Rosina Jamaluddin, thank you for translating it. And so what I found that those of you are interested in I think if I can show it, you see these are the 8 dimensions: pedagogy, technology. This is a Malay language. Technology. Then you have interface design, management, ethical consideration, institutional dimension. So this is in a Malay language, and it's coming from the book. You see? So today I'm going to limit my discussion with 8 critical dimensions coming from this book. Okay. So I'll try to take some questions at the end if I have any questions. So what I'm telling, you should stop and think. In e-learning, stop and think with this 8 dimension, whether you have done it right. So before you got into e-learning, stop and start think that you will be able to do a meaningful e-learning by focusing on 8 critical dimensions of Khan's e-learning framework. So, pedagogically, there are many issues. Most important issues are content analysis. What is that you're teaching? Audience analysis. Who will be taking your course? Goal analysis. Can you achieve this goal? What is the goal? Medium analysis. What are different tools and medium you are using? Design approach. Design approach means we are in the field of instruction and design. We have 2 schools of thoughts. One is behaviorist or instructivist or constructivist. So meaning that your pedagogical philosophy has to see whether you want to be sage on the stage or guide on the side. Sage on the stage is more like instructivist view. Guide on the side probably, constructivist approach. But I try to see that both methods, when appropriate for the content types, with your target audience, you can have your design approach. And also within the pedagogical, we think about organization of the course. And then different methods and strategies. That includes like instructional methods, like you can use drill and practice. You can have problem-based learning. You can use collaborative learning. These are methods and strategies. So when you're teaching face-to-face classes, all good things that work for your students and they achieve their goal from your class, use them. Be innovative, be creative. How would you be able to transfer this idea for online method? For every lesson, think about strategies they use and what would be implication for them when you're doing it online. The next one on the framework is technology. This technology. So technological dimension of the framework has infrastructure planning, meaning that you have a Wi-Fi, you have internet connectivity, things like that. Then you have a hardware. How are you trying to use to get your online education so that you can participate in online learning? Are you using computer, or using laptop, or desktop, your cell phone, or you're using your iPad, whatever tools, or radio or television? And so you need to think about all the hardware. And also in the technological dimension, you have to think about the software. Right now, I'm using, I think, Google Meet, right? There are people using Zoom. So what you need to make sure, what are available software within your reach, And if you can appropriately use them for your students' learning, and do it. And do some testing of it, see whatever works, and be connected with others who are teaching online and see what works for them. It may work for your students. So this is a new paradigm of education. We no longer, I don't really appreciate that we will, okay, we're not going to do any more face-to-face classroom instruction. We'll go all online. No, whatever works better for your situation. You have to look at the capability of your technological digital infrastructure, and you have to look at the content, whether this course can be taught online or parts of it can be blended. So there's something called blended learning, and my model also used for blended learning approaches. You see? So next one on the framework is called, interface design. Interface design. So what does interface design mean? So interface design means when you right now you're looking at me, you are seeing some books in the background, you see me, this is all you see. So students, when they're taking online courses, they're looking into only the computer screen or your screen of their cell phone. So you have to design it, page and site design. You need to think about how you're designing it, because you have a small screen there. And how much can you put, what you should put, what makes sense. So you have to think about that. So you have to design the content. You see, you have to design the content in such a way so that, it is well received by students. You just cannot put unnecessary thing in there because you have a small screen. For example, text density. More text you have in there, lower the comprehension. So you need to learn, because when you talk in the classroom, we can say whatever you want to say, but online learning, you're depending on digital content. So you need to design in such a way, use like write appropriate targeted words so that you will be able to communicate well, make it interactive. So do the page and site design, content design, and the navigation. These are also interface design issues. Accessibility. Can someone access your learning materials? Let's talk about the people with disabilities. A person with visual impairment. Someone cannot see. So if you design your course, you put a picture of me. So what they do, people with disability who are blind, they use something called a screen reader. So a screen reader will go to this page and will say, if you put my picture in there, it will say this is an image or a graphic. But we, in the United States, President Clinton made it as a law. It's called Section 508, American Disability Act. And many countries have those laws too. So when you're designing in HTML, you can put an alternative text, say that this is an image of Badrul Khan standing in front of a red building. So if you write it, so a screen reader would say that this is an image of Badrul Khan standing in front of a building. So we have to do our homework. We need to be inclusive in our design. So you have to put alternative text in there. So a screen reader, when read the screen for the blind person, when he hears it, here is right. So we can be very, very sensitive about that. And do the usability testing. So interface design have page and site design, content design, navigation, accessibility, user testing. So when user testing means when you do an online education, give it to students, share with others and see what works, what doesn't work, where they have problem. You have to change the word or pictures or images. Don't do unnecessary things like simulation and all this. If they are not relevant to your content, why wasting your time? The next one on the framework is called evaluation. That's evaluation. Next one. Evaluation. So evaluation means first you have to do assessment of learners. How do you know students are learning? What methods are you using? You need to make sure they are the students who are taking the test. So you have to come up with a very good strategy for assessing students' learning. Then also, when we teach, we've been evaluated by our students. So we need to do the same thing. We can do the evaluation of who is teaching the course, and also you can do the evaluation of who created the course. In online education, not necessarily that professor or teachers, they are creating their own courses. Maybe it's created by someone else, someone is teaching, you see? So you need to do the evaluation of who are teaching, who created it. You can write comments on it, or this graphic doesn't go along with it. So you can put online evaluation of the course. So evaluation has two important criteria. One is assessment of learners and evaluation of teaching staff, evaluation of instructional designer, graphic designer, evaluation of who are maintaining this online environment. Then you have the next one you have is called management. You see management? Management of e-learning. So management of e-learning means you have like when you come to our classes, in face-to-face classes, we probably bring our notebook and we start writing on the board, you know. But in online education, you don't see your students, but you have to create it such a way that you have to maintain. See, if you give a link to, for example, my website, which is badrulkhan.com, if you make a link to it from your course, so students go there, link doesn't exist anymore, so they will be upset, right? So any maintenance of information that you have to make sure they are all updated. So that is the management part of it. We may not have to do that for our classroom teaching. For online education, you have to make sure all the links works, all the resources that you provided, that are coming from different places or from your server, they are well linked. There is no dead links, because dead links will make them unhappy. So next one is the resource support. You see, you can see it. Okay, let me see. Okay. Resource support. So resource support meaning online support, such as you can have a technical support, library support, counseling support. These are online. The other one is resource support. Resource support would be what are the different resources that are available. Maybe you have a link to another university's resources. Obviously, you have the permission to do it, then you do it. If there is no permission, make sure you get the proper permission, and they can use those resources. So the resource support is important for online education because it is a part of the online, because the students are not with you. They are in their homes, or they could be in an Arabian desert, still trying to learn something through their cell phone, their mobile phone, and all of a sudden they had a question. So if one has a question, he can call the technical support or send an email. So technical support should provide the online technical help so that he can log into his learning management system so he can continue. So next one is ethical. Let me show you if I can get it right. Okay, ethical. This is a very, very mega dimension. That includes social and political influence. For example, when you're writing content for online education, so any conflicting issues, then it may have different views. For example, Palestinian issues, Tibetan issues. So if it's Palestinian issue, Israeli professor would write, maybe he would write his way, a Palestinian professor would write his way, an American professor would write about his way in a controversial issue. So if you have any controversial issues, so you have to make sure that you bring multiple perspective of each one of them and then let them see the diversity, and in online education you do it well. So also what you can write or you cannot write, it maybe have a political influence on you, that no, you cannot write it. You cannot use that on your classes. That's his case. So you have to respect that. So because it's online, whatever you put in online, it goes global, right? So you need to pay attention to ethical consideration. Means that it is ethical for you to consider these are the issues. It may hurt your offerings of courses. Cultural diversity. Next one is cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is we come from different places and we are different, and we always want to be comfortable about what we do. So I remember, cultural diversity means when I was in Bangladesh, we used to think about this like this sign is like we used to call green banana, meaning that, maybe people used to use it for, as a derogatory statement like, oh, you didn't do good or something. So think about that. This is, when I came to the United States, I see this means, way to go. So that's a cultural diversity, cross-cultural communication. So when you do online education, know about your students, where they are, and don't use a sign and symbol that may offend someone. But now, because of American television, the students know this means thumbs up means way to go. So it can be, so you do have to look into all the issues you never had before, because it's all global. Then next one in ethical consideration is called bias. So when I talk about the Palestinian conflict, Tibetan conflict, even conflict in Bangladesh during our liberation, everyone has their own way of biasness. So you need to make sure you provide viewpoints from different sources so that students can see it. But you have to see, these are the issues that I don't think I face every day, but these are the issues that may come and hurt your courses. So you need to start thinking about the whole idea of the framework is a framework, it's not a model, it's a framework of thinking. Framework of thinking in the sense that you think about critical issues so that you are doing good thing. So next one is ethical consideration is called geographical diversity. Now, in the United States, it's 9:50 p.m. in Eastern because we are nearby Washington, D.C. But in Malaysia, is about, maybe 10:50. Think about United States has 6 time zones. So if I do a course, I was a professor at George Washington University, and if I had scheduled an online live discussion at 8 in the morning in Washington, D.C., it will be about 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning in Pacific time, or maybe Hawaii. So I cannot do that. Ethically, it's not right if I have students coming from there for my online courses, because it will be geographical diversity, meaning that he or she will be sleeping while I'm talking. So you need to be sensitive about you offer the courses. If your students are different parts of the world, respect that. The next issue within ethical consideration is called learner diversity. Learner diversity means we all learn a different way. Some are visual learners, some are textual learner. So different types of learners. So you need to make sure you realize that they are not with you. They are somewhere else, but is still trying to learn from you. So you need to be very inclusive. Like a disability is something that we all have disability, to little to a very extreme. So we need to have the opportunity in online education to pay attention to important issues like students with disability, how they can enjoy as much as possible in online methods. So there is a rules, there's a guidelines, you follow them, and you pay attention to this, and the course will be very inclusive. It will be for all learners. The next issues within ethical consideration is etiquette, meaning that etiquette would be something that you are trying to teach a course, and you have a discussion forum. So in the discussion forum, students will participate, they will write, they will rebuttal, they will discuss. So make sure they are doing it right. You need to give them the guidance, how to behave there in learning. In the classroom, you have control. When someone, saying something not desirable there in the classroom, you can guide the person not to say it. So you have to prepare students with the appropriate etiquette principles. How many pages they can submit, what words they cannot say, and also you need to make sure they are behaving well when they are doing the discussion forum, So the last one within the ethical dimension I found is called legal issues. Legal issues is something to deal with, plagiarism. So there are so many materials online the students can copy, paste, and submit you. And there are also software that can identify what they got them. So it is better to explain the copyright issues, intellectual property right to students so that they will be paying attention to when they're submitting their paper. They will be also, thinking about what they can or cannot do. If you follow the rules and regulation in the classroom to be successful, to complete the course, they should do the same thing. So you have to come up with, if you're designing the course, have to come up with discussion of all legal issues, all principles. And then with the framework, let me see how much time I have. Okay. In the framework, you see the last one is called institutional. Institutional. So institutional means administrative affairs. Like when you do the registration in regular classes, you go and pay your tuition and things like that. You're doing online. So you have a good system that the student can pay. So whatever you do in a regular brick and mortar university campus-based, if you're going completely online, how students will receive different administrative services from you. Because a student taking a course face-to-face has the same right when they're taking online. The next one, which is institutional dimension, is called academic affairs. Academic affairs would be the students, if they're taking regular campus-based courses and they got a degree, and if the community says that, okay, you got a degree, you went to University, Pahang, and you has campus-based, you got this degree. Now, when you go University Pahang totally online, and you stayed home and finished your degree online, so they will question. So academic affairs question would be academic quality. Is it as good of a quality of education that you receive in online that you would have received in face-to-face classes? So these questions, these issues will come up. Next one within the institutional dimension is called student services. So student services, meaning that if I go to face-to-face classroom or a campus-based education, I enjoy playing table tennis there, chatting with my friends in the common room, and then I have health problem, I can go to the health services. I have a problem, I can call counselor or go and see counselor, all different services that I receive. In online method, you need to start thinking about that. What possibly can be provided? Because in the United States, mental health has been a problem for, middle school, high school, secondary school students, and because they are isolated. So they are, in my position paper that I'm writing, Education at Risk, that I'm saying that, they can have counselor or, teaching staff will have some kind of Zoom or Google Meet or whatever ways to communicate with students how they are doing, so make them feel good. Even though in the classroom we don't have to do it, but when they are online, you need to take care of your students. They are human. Don't treat them as like numbers. Take them as they are human, but they are using a different method of learning. You see, it's a different world. We are living in a digital world. Because we are living in two worlds. One is our physical world, another one is our digital world. Physical world means I'm right here in America in my house, and I'm talking to you, but around me there is a digital, parallelly a digital world is being created. So we are the citizens of two worlds now. One is physical world and one is digital world. If we follow the rules in regular world, that when we have valuables, we put it in a safe box or safety box. So if you have important information on my digital account or the bank account, we keep it safe too, well-protected password. So we are living in the two worlds. We need to realize that anytime one world goes off, other world has come. Like we are off from face-to-face classes, physical world, and we are on e-learning or online education. So that's the digital world. So we need to adjust between face-to-face, the physical world to digital world. It's already been there. In fact, my television show that on Fox 5 Plus Washington, D.C., and this show's name is Khan's Digital World, KDW. So there I talk about these issues that we are no longer living in a one physical world. We are living in a digital world. We are doing digital learning, we're doing digital business, e-commerce, e-business, we do. So that world is around us totally in a digital infrastructure. Physically, you are here. If I am physically living in my house, I can order food. I can order food digitally, and with the digital transaction, the food will come to me and I will physically get the food. So it goes between digital world and physical world. So we need to start adjusting. Our teachers, our educators, we need to prepare ourselves for this new paradigm of education. You will not have this opportunity anymore. This is the opportune time for you to think through this framework, what it takes to create meaningful learning for your students so that they can learn well. So having said that, you may be thinking, oh, it's going to be so difficult to do. But do whatever you can, but having your thinking that I want to do a meaningful learning. If I want to do a meaningful learning, I must think about what are the critical issues for online learners. Because online and traditional classroom-based instruction are not the same. They are two different environments. So some situation, you may say that, okay, can we do everything online? Not necessarily. I was giving a keynote address for Medical Association in San Francisco. One time, one person asked me whether they can teach surgery through e-learning. I said yes or no. Yes or no means Harvard University use a term called flipped classroom. What they do, before you come to the class, you can watch the video and discussion and lecture, and in the classroom you can do discussion. That's fine. However, if you want to do a surgery is a psychomotor skill. You have to think and do the motor skill to do the surgery. Can you do that for using e-learning? You see, yes, you can use e-learning, part of it, but to do the surgery, medical students, They need to know the patient. They need to talk to the patient. They have to touch the blood and learn the surgery in the real operation, theater. So what happens if you have a student or a patient undergoing a knee surgery, and which I have. So when surgeon is doing the surgery, so it can be like a live video and can be distributed to the students or global who wants to learn from the surgery, or you can also video recorded the whole thing. So students can review this video snippets of video or the pages or screen after screen and to see what goes on. But that is like e-learning for the demonstration and seeing. But when you have to do actual surgery, you have to go to operation table. And you have to do the surgery in the hospital. So students can see, they have to touch the blood, talk to the patient, and comfort them when the question comes in. That's like some kind of, your relationship you have to develop with your patient. So you have to do, that's called hands-on. So that's where you can use, you cannot use online education or e-learning completely, but you can blend it. So you can see the videos beforehand, and when you're actually doing it, you come to the hospital and do it there. So for my talk today, what I'm trying to say is that e-learning is good and is very valuable to do it, but you need to pay attention to what are the critical issues they have to pay attention to. If you don't pay attention to all the issues that I talked about, then what will happen? One of them is going to go bad and is going to hurt the other. And each of them has a very systemic relationship. They are independent to each other, interdependent on to each other. You see, it's very systemic, not systematic, systemic. I remember one time I was giving a keynote address for Canadian distance education. So they had the students or the participants joined from different provinces of Canada. And one from British Columbia, one student asked me about e-learning. These are years back. And she was asking that she took a class from one of the top university in California. And she was very happy about online education. But one thing she didn't like is that when she was trying to pay the tuition or the, whatever, the register office was not very helpful. And she was very unhappy. You see, so that comes from institutional dimension, registration. See, other parts well done. So because of that, it's interrelated. We are human. So if you don't get payment on, cannot pay right away, or cannot pay when it was without late fee, something situation that can hurt. So our whole idea is that you think, just stop. It said we're going to do e-learning. Stop, and you think this way. Put the learner at the center. And let me see anything else I want to say. And I can answer many of the questions. However, I encourage you, those of you who are in Malay speaking, you got my Malay book. It is printed, it was by ITBM, and Dr. Rosina Jamaluddin from University of St. Malaysia, USM. And I was there, but their food was so good, so tasty food. And the food was very good. And USM, and what's the city name? I've forgotten. USM. Okay, I'm going to now hear from people. Now I take off the mic, and I can hear you if you have any question. So you can ask me a question. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you may ask and unmute your microphone to ask from our honorable speaker, Prof. Badrul Han. Yes, please. By the way, thank you very much, Prof, for your insight, which is pave the way to see how the disabilities can see the challenge as opportunities, especially during the pandemic COVID-19. And perhaps I can share and ask on behalf, since I received a few questions from the audience. And basically, yeah, do you mind, Prof? Can we ask the first question?
No problem, please do.
Yeah. Most of engineering and technical students really find difficulties, as what you explained, what been experienced perhaps by the medical students. So perhaps what is your word of advice, especially for the disabilities? Because if I can share the scenario in Universiti Malaysia Pahang, basically we have assistants or buddies to help them around when they have the normal campus education. But when they are off campus, they really stressed out, because especially for the lab activities and the rest, they just have to watch the video and do the assessment. And the challenge become worse, Prof, when they really have to have spent time in front of the laptop. And sometimes due to their limitation, they can really have full hours in front of the laptop. So perhaps, Prof, what is your word of advice for them to at least to face or to juggle with this kind of challenge as disabilities? Thank you, Prof.
Okay, first of all, this one is mostly for the people, the professors or the course designer. So there's something called Bloom's taxonomy. There's very low cognitive level to high cognitive level, like a simple, like a application to evaluation. So the learning content complexity goes like this, very simple to complex. So complex one are more hands-on, technical thing, so you need to blend them. And low cognitive level are like a application, comprehension, something like this. But evaluation, synthesis, those are like a very high content. So in the Bloom's taxonomy, I have, if you go to badrulkhan.com/framework, badrulkhan.com/framework, FRAMEWORK, framework. You'll see Bloom taxonomy that I modified for online method. So you see the professors, teachers, and course designers have to look into what is it that the students will be doing, which requires the technical learning, requires hands-on, and it requires something that one has to use the motor skill. So based on that, you have to decide which content that they can learn using e-learning method, asynchronous way. What are the content they need synchronous? So synchronous can be, some cases, they probably have to come to the campus in the lab, but there might be some virtual lab can be established, which will be for the synchronous part, the live part. So there's one article written by Harbi Singh, Blended Learning using my framework. And there he talks about that how you can mix them, blending. So you can do blending with online education with the face-to-face classes, or there are some content where you can do the blending online. Like if you go to a course and learn from the course, and I come virtually as a guest speaker and showing you certain things, that's also blending. So they need to figure out which subject, what is the goal of the subject, what are the individual objectives. Like if you think of umbrella, goal of the umbrella is to protect you from rain or sunshine. Each spoke of the umbrella, if you think as a learning objectives. So try to address them, each one of them, and see if that objective, the complexity of it, is it a low cognitive level or high cognitive level? Can you teach it asynchronous method, or you need synchronous, that you have to have involved in a structure with them, either electronic, either digitally or face-to-face. So it's all about, not about the students, what they need to do. It's all about us, the professor, the teachers, the course designer, how they design it. You cannot just force feed someone to learn online, because it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, don't do it. Blend it. Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you, Prof, for the great explanation. So perhaps we open to the floor if there is any question to Prof Khan. By the way, we want to share, Prof, perhaps some comments, because we also have Facebook Live. Alhamdulillah, we have feedback from non-government organization and volunteer organization from Madam Intanolizan that praise your effort, and also UMP to inclusively include the disability via e-learning. And also from Mr. Aftab Uddin, he mentioned on excellent delivery, rightly pointed out the critical issues needed for meaningful e-learning education, and he congratulates you, Prof. Okay, anyway, okay, thank you. Okay, any question? Anyway, so I also received a text question on a very basic question, Prof. Especially in nowadays due to the pandemic as well. The question is accessibility. So how to overcome this, because we do aware that the outbreak of this pandemic, as you said, that we are not ready, and the sad story is most of them, even more than millions, lost their job, and it affects the household. So what happened is that the disparity and the gap become wider for education. So Prof, by the keyword of accessibility, how to at least to make sure that, as been reported in the World Bank, we are the lost generation. So how to help them to cope with this? Thank you.
Okay, that's a very good question. For the new administration in the United States, I'm writing a position paper because the pandemic created a disparity among different income levels. You see, the students coming from low income level, some of them don't have access to internet connection or 5G connection. They don't have probably enough hardware, software needed, and they probably don't have an extra room to learn. So meaning that there are problems associated with some groups of people in the country here. So it's creating a big disparity amongst those who don't have, and the one are resourceful, coming from wealthy family, they're okay with it, and they can participate in online education. Those don't have it, they cannot even participate. Internet connection slow, but don't have it, or not have enough technology, not have enough space in a room. Maybe the whole family has one computer. There are 3 kids, 3 children in the home. So you see, it's creating a disparity. It is a digital divide. And digital divide is something not good in digital world. It's like not having it and you cannot participate. So other thing is this, like in the United States, we have, parents, English is second language. So what these kids, one, they're in the kindergarten to elementary or middle school, they need parental help. But the parents cannot help, so that means the students are even getting behind. they will be lagging behind. So this remote learning or online learning take them backward. So missing learning in a day could be missing in early age, could be missing weeks in their professional or future education. So accessibility, it becomes an issue globally. Some countries are rich, their family is rich, they can find ways to learn. But poor economic conditions, those who don't have enough resources, even the parents may be not educated enough to participate in students' learning. So they will lag behind. So I request all countries, all governments to think about introducing remote learning or online education completely. Think about those families, those students who don't have access to all important things, not having enough room in a house to learn. We should be helping them to minimize this disparity. And I hope my position paper, I'm about to finish in few days, is called Nations Education at Risk. So that means we are at risk because of remote learning. And remote learning, Fairfax County School District, Washington Post recently reported a very big number of students got Fs, fail grade in online education. And many of them come from, minorities, African American, Latin American, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans. So what happens is that those do not have enough resources to participate, so they are lagging behind. They are lagging behind now, and this lagging behind will have implication when they go into college, even the professional life. A day lost in learning in younger age could be a month lost in their future education. So accessibility is an issue, and I request all governments to start thinking about providing these resources and make the learning engaging, interactive. Schools and colleges, teachers, professors should be thinking about converting these courses online. You cannot do it one day because it takes time. I'm writing a book called Micro-Learning. Micro-learning means learning snippet. So you start thinking about creating one lesson. For you have a goal of the course has many objectives. For each objective, single objective focused lesson you create. Slowly you create. So at the end of a period of time, you'll have a whole course is done. But you need to start thinking about not all content can be taught online using digital method. You have to blend. You have to think of blending, hybrid, combining, so that whatever works better, our whole goal, the learner have access to your learning and they learn. And there will be greater return on investment for the students and for the community they will be serving. Thank you for the question.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, great insight, Prof. So we try to bring also the global agenda for e-learning that inclusive enough, not just for the disabilities, but also the gap between the haves and the have not. So the next question, Prof, comes from Hakimi Fazila, which the student with this physical disability. His question sounds, how to balance the study and healthcare, because not people understand about it. And because you want to learn or study, you must strive hard. And it makes me stressed because I don't have friends to support the learning with the home environment. And also it can affect the focus to the study. So perhaps Prof, you can give your word of advice and also motivation to this student who is one of the disabilities that struggle without the assistance of friends when he's having this. And by the way, Prof, he's now also having just the apa we can say he just having also the side effect of stroke, physical stroke. So perhaps Prof, he by getting your word of advice and motivation, he can continue because he's from engineering, civil engineering student. Thank you, Prof.
Oh, thank you. I wish, I don't know how I can advise you, but as I mentioned, I will say that all the teachers, please stop and think this way, so that what will happen, they will design the courses will be useful for you. So if you are isolated, which in the United States, there is a mental health become a problem. So schools or colleges should have teachers or counselor to be in contact with the students and let them know it is a situation, because of the situation it is difficult. But it is, alhamdulillah, it's good that you are able to connect to these courses. You're learning. Maybe you're not learning something because a structure is not there yet, but slowly, give it a time. Be patient. Don't get too upset. I know you cannot see your friends, your classmates, but make a digital communication, talk to them, be in contact. You're thinking you're the only one suffering, you cannot do it. Others have the same problem. When you share, don't keep it to yourself. Share and see what is the best way they do. So you will improve your mental health, your emotional intelligence will improve. Is that give it a chance, think about why things happen. Things happen because we are in an pandemic. I don't go out from home. I stay home because in the United States is the hardest hit country in the world, even though we are one of the best medical services. Maybe our policy could have been better. I don't know, but we are suffering. So the whole world is suffering. So you be brave and say that with your capacity, you're trying hard. But things are like that. Have stubborn, patient, and then you may be able to help the professors and tell them that this could be done this way better. Because this is a new thing for us, teaching completely online, not being able to go to campuses. For some people maybe, or for all, it is not easy. I understand. But you are able to participate at least. If you didn't have this internet connectivity, if you didn't have any digital technology available today, what would happen? You could not even go anywhere. So be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are here, we will do it. Have sabr, the patience with you, and next time around you'll be good. And I pray for you and pray for all of you, those students with disability, students with disability, they're suffering a lot. But hang in there, be patient. Inshallah, you'll do good. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for your inspiring advice and motivation, especially dedicated to Hakimi and also other students who having difficulties, because with their disabilities, it seems that they have double the challenge for them. Alhamdulillah, we can understand from Prof insight that just keep holding on and also keep yourself engaged with others to get the positive aura and also feedback. Okay, Prof, perhaps I can ask again from the audience if there is any question before I share another question here. Yes, we have Mr. Azman asking question. Yes, we can see from the chat. You want me to share with you, Prof? We have, thank you, Mr. Okay.
You asked me the
So,
question.
okay, thank you, Mr. Azman bin Abdul Rahim. His question is, before pandemic, we see e-learning as 100% for distance learner and no e-learning or less than 10% for face-to-face learners. At present, during the pandemic, it became 100% e-learning, not only for distance learners, but for all learners. So how do you foresee after the pandemic, will the e-learning be the main practice in teaching and learning?
I wish it becomes. So what happens that before you are so comfortable, we'll have classes and we go to classes and see our friends and learn from classroom. All of a sudden, because of COVID-19, the whole world stopped, lockdown. We are home. And because of the technological improvement, e-learning was able to help little. So after the COVID, what would happen? One thing would happen, my job will be little easier because every country, every places I go, I have to tell them, use e-learning method. Since 1996, I've been saying it to different countries. You should have a plan for your digital learning. So now that they went through this thing, so they realize, oh my God, this is the only way I have to do it. No, this experience will help you. If you with COVID-19, you go back to schools and campuses, your lifestyle will change. There's a paradigm, your mindset will change. You'll always be thinking the opportunity for online education that provided you during when you stayed home. So meaning that it is a good thing, good experience. And you'll see the professors and teachers will try to teach online and try to use more of e-learning to it. Life will change. People will not feel comfortable even to go to big gatherings. It will take some time. So like I said, we are living in two worlds. One is physical world, another one is digital world. Now digital world is dominating. We need to prepare ourselves for digital learning, digital world. If we follow all the rules and regulations on the physical world, how to drive a car and all this, and how you browse on physical digital world, you have to follow the rules. The governments of the world must come up with understanding that we are citizens of two worlds. One is physical world, one is digital world. If we cannot function well in digital world, we're going to be lagging behind. So after COVID-19, what will happen? We will have the sensitivity, we have the experience of what works, what doesn't work. We're not going to get back to normal. I don't see we're going to go back to normal so soon. We are human. We are afraid. And we are adjusting. Some of us can work from home. Some of them cannot work from home because they are frontline worker. Things will adjust. So we need to give it a time. And we need to start thinking about like a CNOP commission, what worked, what didn't work. And we will see so many changes in the policy, university policies. At the same time, the government policies on remote learning, online learning, and education, business. So I'm very hopeful that after this difficult time, we'll come and see better days. But we cannot go back to the way we used to. It's going to be difficult. That's my personal opinion. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Azman, for your interesting question and feedback. And perhaps I open again, or I just share the The question that I have here, Prof. I just, we
Yes.
have question. Okay.
No problem. You
The
will ask any
question.
question. I'm home.
Yeah. The question is, as we aware, the 15% of world population is from the disabilities, people with disabilities. So from your insight and explanation, we can understand that we can turn problems into opportunities. So specifically, referring to your framework, Prof, how about the opportunities that we have a pool of 7 billion online, for example? So how we can extend your framework to e-training and e-commerce in terms of the preparation or support system and so on. Is it possible, Prof, to extend your framework? To e-training and e-commerce.
You see the back of this. Most of the book has a framework on the cover on the book. I'm working on a book called Macro Learning based on the framework, and I'm working on a book on evaluation. It's on the framework. I'm working on another book. It's called OERI, Open Education Resources. So you see what the framework does. This is a common sense making framework.
It's generic.
Meaning that you have to think about all different issues that are important for your client, either in business or in education or in government. So I have developed national e-learning project for some clients, so they need to start think about what is that we need to provide support to our clients, to our students. We need to take each individual students, all students, to be part of this online education. So if there's a 15% students with disability, online method is not, it can be even beneficial than face-to-face classes, because if you do create, there are something called W3G guidelines, World Wide Web guidelines from MIT. Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who I met, he's the founder of World Wide Web. We have a lot of discussion about him when he was in Saudi Arabia. When I was giving a keynote, he was one of the keynote speakers, Sir Tim Berners-Lee. He's also very interested in W3 guidelines for all the guidelines that are needed for people with disability who should follow. And e-learning method is the best way to guide them. So I see a very good future. Is all you have to do is truly understand our capability, technological capability, our institutional capability, and the content types. Is it psychomotor skill, or is it cognitive skill, or is it intellectual skill, or is it verbal information? If a Bloom's taxonomy, if you get simple cognitivity to high cognitive level, simple to complex. Complex needs a lot of hands-on, synchronous. Low cognitive level needs less, interactivity. So we need to figure out for each subject, for each learning objective, what we can do so that learners can participate. We will have problems all the time. Our problem right now, we are locked down. It's even difficult problem. We never thought about that. School and colleges will be closed down. Business will be closing down, So this is what it is, I guess. And we have to start thinking about what is it that we can do to improve it. And my framework is not only, I call it a global framework. If it goes, as I say, my book has been translated to 23 languages already. So we put the learners or your stakeholders in here. Is a contextual base. Maybe pedagogical philosophy in Bangladesh is different than pedagogical philosophy in the United States. You see, they may be liking instructivist instructional methods. We probably like constructivist instructional method. So we need to put our learner in here and start thinking through all the dimension to how to provide the best learning for the students. So that means my thing is this, that we are, even though we are flat-footed, means we got unprepared for online education, but we are learning what worked, what did not work. Like mental health is one of the problems that K through 12 education in the United States many complain about. Students' mental health. We have to be encouraged because we are home. We don't see our peers in the classroom. And how we survive, it's not easy, but we're getting this training ourselves. And we know how we can get better help. But don't get upset right now. Be motivated. Be patient. You're still alive. Why? Because you are following some rules and regulation. Be safe and maintain good living style. Talk to your friends, call them, chat them on the on the internet. If there's a way for you to do it, keep in touch. Help each other. This is not a time that to be upset. Alhamdulillah, we are surviving so far. Hope so many people, about 300,000, over 300,000, I believe, in the United States, that lost their life for this COVID-19. Hardest in the world, this country, the most advanced universities I've seen in this country. But when pandemic hit, it is bad. It devastates one's thinking life. So you need to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thankful to God in that you are still here, but you'll do good. Next day will be good. We are learning. So I can only give you this kind of advice, that what I feel. There might be counselor, psychologists, psychiatrists have the better advice for all of you. But you have to have this in mind. The reason you're suffering because situation made it. But even with the people with disability have disadvantaged situation in learning, but they figure out the ways to overcome. But e-learning is one of the saviors, because you can do so many things in e-learning method to help the students with disability. You have to provide your input so that your teachers or the society can incorporate that. But e-learning can be a good friend for students with disabilities learning. Thank you for the question.
Okay, Prof. We have another question in the chat, Prof, and it comes from Nurul Hidayah. So I read for you. I am disability people, and at the same time I have MDD, which is, I believe, something to do with mental depression disorder. Should getting treatment by psychiatric. What advice, Prof, for me, and how I control the emotion during the learning? I am on epilepsy and sometimes getting fixed and attacked during online learning. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, first of all, I'm not a psychiatrist, not even a psychologist, and I'm just an educator, but I'm sensitive to the issues of disabilities. So one thing you can see, there are two types of IQ. One is emotional intelligence, one is IQ. Emotional intelligence you have to control. If you have a greater EQ over IQ, you're good. If you have both IQ and EQ, you can maintain, then that's good too. So emotional intelligence you have to control. You know, if you get upset, know that it is normal to get upset. We all get mad, but we control. If you get too upset, just don't react right away. Just take a break. Take a break, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You see 50% of the stress will go away. Don't think about what happened already. Think about future. You see, if in my personal life, and I said to my family, I said, when I, past, I go back. When there is something bad situation, I think about it and it makes me more stressful. So when I think future, I don't see much of this thing bothering me. So forget about the past, what happened, learn how to forgive and forget. And you will, this is my opinion, I'm not, like I said, I'm not giving you counseling advice or psychiatric advice. I'm just giving you counseling of how I survive. I have every single day, I have different ways of difficulties I encounter. And I always say that if I'm doing it right, I didn't do anything wrong for anyone, I should be okay. But still it hurts how people treat me, how society treats me, how I'm not doing it right the way I should be. So I realized that, what can I do? Okay, I can do one thing. Don't get upset. Just take it that it will happen. When I used to teach at George Washington University, my students were using my book and I would give them the homework. You criticize on my octagonal framework. They say it's good. I said, no, it's not good. There's some problem. You do study. Then this one, sir, we like it. It's good. I said, no, you have to study something wrong. And they will come up with some, issues which help me to improve this framework. So you have to be like this. Be receptive of criticism. Some criticism may hurt you, some criticism may help you. So you compartmentalize it. Some place you go that not very good for you. So avoid that. Go to places which is good for you. Talk to the people who are encouraging to you. If somebody give you constructive feedback, which is good. But if somebody, you deal with it every single day, it brings distress, just avoid them. Life is too short. Be forgiving and go forward. Don't think about the past bad experience. Think about something good will happen. Thanks for the question.
Okay, thanks Prof. Badrul for your feedback and also kind advice to our participant here, Nurul Hidayah. So hopefully from what Prof share, his word of wisdom will more or less will console and give you perhaps some light how to deal with the situation. And we also having Prof Rozhan here, Prof. I think you know him very well.
Who?
We have Prof Rozhan Idrus from USIM, I think.
Oh, my brother, Dr. Rozhan
Yeah,
Idrus.
he keep on give feedback here. Yes.
Very intelligent person.
Yeah. Even he also have given his opinion on the question asked by our sister Nurul Hidayah here. He said that perhaps can go for online learning does mean synchronous all the time. So it can be asynchronous. So watch the recording when one is comfortable and in a convenient time. So that's also the alternative, right, Prof? So rather than just being like so fixed with the screen, so she can even have flexibility to watch the recording version. So here, okay, yeah, and one also feedback from Prof Rozhan to Mr. Azman. We have to blend now and mix of many strategies, online, face-to-face, use software animations, and the list goes. And we have question that from in Bahasa Melayu from Mr. Nur Azhar Abdul Rasid, and I translate it for you, Prof.
Yes, please.
Okay, I will read in Bahasa Melayu first. Pendidikan adalah satu dasar di peringkat negara. Adakah kerajaan perlu menggubal satu dasar yang baharu untuk merealisasikan e-pembelajaran ini dengan sebaiknya? Apa pendapat Prof Badruhan? Terima kasih. Okay, his question sounds like education is a national policy. So is it possible for a government to formulate a new policy which really focus to the realization of e-learning? So what is your opinion? I mean, like, to formulate really a new policy for these new norms for education. What is your opinion, Prof?
I think that's a great question, because every country has to come up with education policy for distance learning or blended learning or remote learning, because it is sorely needed now than before. You see, these questions are coming. You see emotion involved, quality of education involved, disability involved. So the national education strategy, which with the framework that I have always promoted for Commonwealth countries, I've written about it, you need to have a policy with prescriptions, with guidelines. The schools, universities, how they should, each individual schools and universities should also have their own remote learning, blended learning, or digital learning, or virtual learning plan based on the national one that will give the guidance. Yes, I think it is time for every country in the world should do that. And I would encourage every country to follow this my e-learning framework, because it is a comprehensive and it talks about all different issues that is so needed, not for today, for even tomorrow,
Future.
and day after tomorrow, and the future, because it is not created by me, but it is emergent based on what I heard over the years from people. Is still asking, and I can answer their questions in the light of that 8th dimension of the framework, whether it's pedagogical or it is financial or it is ethical, all is there. So we have to think about this for this new wave of learning, with a new paradigm of education. If you don't, then we will lag behind, and we will not do the right service, good service to our citizens. Thanks for the question.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Yes, Prof. Rozhan also give his insight and feedback. Actually, he said that Malaysia do have the e-learning policy, but it's the matter of how to unlock and perhaps takes further action and details to outline the proper e-learning for all, including the disabilities. Because just to share, Prof, I received a lot of feedback that they said that the challenge during the pandemic is especially for the disabilities, including the caretakers and parents, because basically they have the support system. But then during this COVID-19, what happened to them is how to really cope with this by, as you said, I think you did mention in your talk that sometimes, for example, in terms of level, in the house, they have different level, tertiary, kindergarten, and also primary, right, Prof? So with this kind of, and sometimes even the parents or caretakers are not ready. They just having, not everyone have a higher education level. So this is something that's how perhaps your word of advice also to cope with this different category is actually like having all in one house. We have university, we have kindergarten, we have primary school, have secondary school in one house. So as a parent, do you think what is the best way perhaps to deal with this all-in-one education system in the house?
Yeah, first of all, what will happen is these students who are coming from the low-income family, their problem is that they may not have 5G internet connection or 4G internet connection, so they cannot participate well. Even though the small, the little kindergarten or middle school or elementary school, primary school students, they need support. Like if parents are not educated enough to support them, they are lagging behind. So in this situation, I would think that there's a community of people who are educated may be able to volunteer some hours for them. Because it is what it is. You know, you cannot make a person don't have enough resources, given the resources all the time. So maybe a collaboration, a community, a social services will come and collaborate with them, help them each other. Thanks.
Yes. So perhaps it's okay. I think we have yes, all the question already been answered by our honorable prof today. So it seems that time is so limited for us, even though we have like almost 2 hours with you, prof. So it's really a great pleasure, and it's really a great moment to have all of the questions or something that lingering around, especially how to deal with the challenge of COVID-19, in particular the disabilities, and we also include another group which is the haves and have not. So this is how we see e-learning perhaps at least as a solution, as something to ponder that we actually can cater or deal with this pandemic accordingly, if, as you said, with proper preparation and support. So by this, I think I will just open to any feedback or any comments last from the participants, if any. Perhaps Prof. Rozhan, do you want to mention something or share something with us?
By the Prof. Rozhan, when I first met him in Dubai, and I think he was doing a keynote address, and I did a presentation there too, and we become good friends, and we created ISMET. ISMET was like International Congress of Muslim in Education Technology.
Yeah, I'm one of the member.
Yes.
Community
so,
of Practice, right, bro? COP, yeah.
Yes. Yes, so I think they need to do that. And I love Malaysia. My wife also loves Malaysia, very much so. I was in IUM, I was in USM, I was in University, Malaysia, UITM, different places. I didn't go to Pahang.
Yeah. So, Prof, looking forward to have you.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah, alhamdulillah, inshallah. Penang, food is so good.
Yeah, so great place.
I don't know how they make this food so tasty, and I really love eating there in Penang. And Dr. Zainab Noor, my friend.
Yeah, UITM, right, bro?
As the UITM International Affairs Director, and her husband, Professor Sergi, is the Vice Rector at the IAUM. They're my good friends. And Dr. Rosina Jamaluddin and Dr. Zainab Noor were in Penang, eat more, and we had a lot of fun. And Dr. Rosan Idris is my good friend, and Jainuddin, and a few others there. We had good time. So inshallah, if things gets better, I would love to come back to Malaysia, spend some time and learn from you all, and also share my knowledge.
Yes, Prof. Great to hear that, Prof. And inshallah, do consider University Malaysia Pahang in your list to be our guest.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah. That's the part I did not go, but I will definitely.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Even yes, one of our disability student, Amirah Hakimin, he mentioned that yes, Malaysia food is so delicious. We always love food all the time. Yes. And Penang, Prof. Yes, as you mentioned, is the paradise for food, Prof. We have so many delicious delicacies.
It tastes very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have so many. Penang known with the nasi kandar, with the curry. Yes.
And also I went to this. What is the university for the teachers?
UPSI. Yes, Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris.
Yeah, Sultan Idris. Yeah, UPSI. There, good friends there. All the professors there. I met. I'm like a Malaysian because
by look, yes, bro.
But by the way, Dr. Zainab Noor, I said, let's makan, because when the students PG students or undergraduate student, I was in Indian University, who will say, now the time for makan, let's makan.
Yeah,
And
makan, correct, bro.
I use, you know, in Shah Alam, I believe Shah Alam was UITM. Janab Nur will take me to a place, a biryani place. And I use my hand to eat the biryani. People look at me, I enjoyed it.
That's how to taste it, bro. Yeah, use your hand. Yeah, even Mr. Jamaluddin, thank you.
Other people.
Yeah. Yes. So it's great experience, right, Prof?
Oh yes, I had very good. My wife, she likes Malaysia. Really, she enjoyed.
Thank you. Oh, really? An honor.
Wow.
By the way, we had the Raza Fatima from Penang. You know, she's a Raza Fatima. She now live in KL. She came to see my wife, you know, and we were like, she was so happy. She, not other countries. She said she really liked Malaysia so much. So inshallah,
yeah, Madam Shima, the beautiful lady.
She's the one. She has a doctorate degree in instructional design for online learning. She's a government manager here.
Oh my gosh.
She really likes Malaysia, and I love Malay friends. You know, like Rosan Idris and others who created the ISMET in Malaysia. I don't know what happened because he retired, and but he's very active. I know. So inshallah, we will get together and do things.
Reunion,
for the rest of the world.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Really appreciate. So thank you also to Mr. Jamaluddin. He mentioned that Pahang also we have a lot to offer, Prof. Perhaps you can taste Pahang pudding. It's called royal pudding.
Okay.
Now, yes, so you should taste that. And
also to mention that I put nasi kerabu because the free nasi kerabu is probably my mom's favorite though.
Oh,
good.
Yes,
Good.
one of the feedback. Yeah, he promote the nasi kerabu.
Yeah, but probably nasi kerabu is definitely not my favorite because I don't know why. Probably the rest of the kerabus somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, Prof. Perhaps do you allow just one final question?
Yes, yes.
Yes, one final question from Dr. Hadijah Ahmad. Okay. Disabled person usually requires more sensory integration type of learning. Any kind of specific method, particularly on e-learning, used to empower them? How do we ensure that they are not left behind? Thank you. Dr. Hadijah. Thank you, Doctor.
Well, I mean, for e-learning method, to me, is like there are different kinds of disabilities, you know, some impairment visually, some like for impairment for even the ages, the older age also have cognitive disability. Depending on what types of disability, I believe that I'm not an expert in disability education. For e-learning scenario is that we need to look into what is it our objectives, because any course, what is the objective, what types of objective they are, is it a psychomotor skill or cognitive skill? So the different kind of tools are available, and we need to just have to think through that, what would them to be and useful out of these tools. So this is a difficult question because this is a specific question, and I work for a company, a disability company, and most of the time we talked about, you know, W3G, the guidelines that provides. So I do not have an experience of creating something for completely disabled students, but however, when I create my e-learning courses, I try to use like all the alternative text, so that if it's a photograph, like I said, it will exactly say what it is, you know, and that's not been able to give a specific answer to this, but it is possible that in e-learning method, different types of learning and what are the best tool for them to provide that. because we are an instructional designer, my degree in instructional design, learning theory. So if the objective requires the types of learning that I said is cognitive or psychomotor skill, we have a specific strategies, collaborative learning, problem solving. For example, collaborative learning. Can two students with a disability participate in collaborative learning? Yes, they can. So we have to combine that tool, whether they can participate online with, like a screen reader must be installed so that they can read through when they're typing something. So I'm not an expert on designing online education for a specific group of disabilities, but my design is for all learners. If you take care of this all 8 dimensions of the e-learning framework, then it will be beneficial for all. But specifically students with severe disability, and we need to do more research or do find out what is the best way to help them.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Prof. So hopefully it answer your question, Dr. Hadijah. And Alhamdulillah, Prof. Rozhan do assist us, Prof. He provides the link for further explore the possibilities to assist the student with sensory disabilities. And he also suggests on doing the profiling for the students. Okay. So anyway, yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you. Alhamdulillah, thank you. We have both.
That's what I was saying, the community. We need to get the communities together. Dr. Rohan Idrus, he helped with the link. So we need to get that community together to best help. Which I don't know, but I can learn from each other. Yes.
So Prof, Alhamdulillah, we really optimize the time because it's for all ladies and gentlemen, it's really a golden opportunity, should I say, that to have Prof. Badrohan here. And not just for that, we have his colleague, which is also the expert of e-learning, Prof. Rozhan Idrus, together with us. And not just to have here, as Prof. Badro mentioned, we have the support of scholarly community of e-learning to support the disabilities. So what a huge possibilities that the pandemic offer us. Because if we just, as Prof always suggests, on be thankful, so perhaps I should say this highest gratitude, that the silver lining or hikmah behind the pandemic, if before this it is not a lavish opportunity to invite scholars like them to be with us in this one time. But as for this, it open to all, is for free, and most of this, I mean, something that I really appreciate is something that we have immediate feedback, right, Prof? So basically, if in normal situation is some limitation, for example, even they feel shy to ask, so they have avenue like chat, even they can post to me via WhatsApp and so on. So perhaps this is also open our eyes that behind the challenge of this e-learning, as what the topic goes, new norms, new opportunities for the disabilities in terms to empower them with meaningful learning. So hopefully we extend this not to just disabilities per se as what been described by the 7 types of disabilities, but it also goes to the have-not, who also part, as Prof. Badrul mentioned, they're also left behind, and we should have the support of the community. And by having this pandemic, the new norms also, the community also extend, not just to the academic community as seen always as Ivory League, right? So now we now can offer more to the community, we can engage more, and we can support more in so many avenues. So that's the hikmah and silver lining behind the outbreak of pandemic. So by this, I think it's high time for us to say goodbye and farewell to Prof. Badrul Huda. But anyway, do you mind, Prof, if you still want to stay as we
No, that's good. I want to
yes,
say
your
something
last
like
word?
this.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Now, please don't worry too much. Stop and think with all the important things. You see? And take it as it is, a pandemic in education, and look for right resources, communicate with people globally, and also share knowledge and see what works best. You can be critical, but also find the answer to solve important issues that you're facing. Together, this is not a one country's problem, this is the global problem. So do research, do communicate with others, the one goal in mind, that your students will benefit from your contribution. Work together. Thank you. May Allah bless you all. Inshallah, we'll see you in person sometime. Pray for me, and I'll pray for you. The world becomes a better place for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you have a
Prof.
good evening.
Yeah,
Yes.
Prof, do you mind? We have a very last question, perhaps. Do you allow one more? Yeah, you have a lot of fans, Prof. Okay. From Mr. Aftab Uddin. His question, do you think everyone should give emphasis on micro e-learning?
Yeah, I think that is good, because now you see what happens, like people are very busy. They don't want to lecture 45 minutes, 10 minutes. So if you do the micro learning, meaning that this is the new thing. I wrote an article called Learning Snippets in 2007, which triggered me to do the micro learning. And I provided a definition, micro learning being the single objective focused interactive learning unit, both digitally or non-digitally. So what happens, you need to start thinking about micro learning in a sense that if you give like a half an hour lecture on a video, they will lose their motivation. But if you have one single objective and you create an interactive learning within 3 to 5 minutes video, they will learn from it and they can also perform it. This will be performance-based instruction objectives, single objective focus online education. It is the micro learning. And our book is going to be, I think, available next month, micro learning. So micro learning is the way, because you don't have a big digital learning in 1 hour. You have to have a segmentize it in a sequential logical order. You cannot teach multiplication if you don't teach subtraction or addition first. So you have to sequentially identify learning objectives, which should be taught first, which should be next and next. So, and also it's easier for professors or teachers to develop it, because they can have a PowerPoint presentation in 2 minutes or 3 minutes on a specific objectives. And that could be make an MP4 file and put on the internet, and students can see it. So having compartmentalized, snippetized learning is the way to go. There's no other way, because our life, we are busy, we are on the run, we are driving, we are, or going places. And within 3 minutes, I want to learn something. So I can go use that micro learning. And one after one micro learning together, if like I say, if the umbrella is the goal, and each spoke of the umbrella are the learning objective. For each of these learning objectives, you can create a single focused learning lesson. This is about instructional design. The instructional designer should be thinking about micro learning. In fact, Carl Camp, who is one of the famous individuals in micro learning, who wrote the preface for my book with two of my former colleagues, René Corbes and Mariana Corbet, are working with me on this book. So I defined microlearning, and this definition is reviewed by Carl Kapp and others. So it is talking about a single objective focus interactive microlearning where learning is fostered and supported, and it can be both digitally or a small video, or it can be non-digital, even a flashcard can be microlearning. So microlearning is the way to go, and it is going to be very specifically objective focus, and it will forces you to think about instructional design and learning theory, because you have to think about the goal of the course and what are the performance objectives. Identify them appropriately, one after one, and for each one of them create a microlearning. Microlearning could be blended. Some microlearning could be completely online, some could be in the classroom. See? Thank you, Dr. Afroddin, for your question. And those of you all over the world, I don't know where are you? I think I have tried to answer some of the questions from my own opinion. And if it's not appropriate, just ignore it. But if it's appropriate, use it. If you know better ways to do things, talk to others. I learn every single day. One thing I want to end by saying this. When I got my doctorate degree, and I felt, Dr. Abdul Khan, I felt good, you know. I thought I know a lot. But more I'm learning every single day, I feel that I don't know a lot. I still need to learn. I learn every single day. And you will learn every single day. Have this emotional intelligence in you, saying that I get the largest, biggest, the most prestigious degrees from prestigious university. I don't learn, I know. No. More degree you have, it opens you up to learn more. Learning never ends. Be sensitive to that situation that you are there to learn. By your learning, you can help others. And we are all together in it to solve it. Thank you so much. Like I say, may Allah bless you, and hope that those my friends and brothers and sisters in Malaysia and globally, please be safe, stay healthy, think positive, keep your mind fresh, don't get distressed. Better days ahead of us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, and you have a good evening.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for having your wonderful session with having a wonderful session with you. I think everyone of us in this virtual session. Thank you, Prof. Rozhan. Thank you, everyone, for stay tuned with our session. So, Prof. Badrul Khan, really looking forward to have you in the future, to have more thoughts and insight to be shared, not just for us in Universiti Malaysia Pahang, but we want to spread and share these germs together with the global audience, inshallah. So I think by this, we should say thank you again to Prof. Badrul Hudahan, and also to our Vice Chancellor, Professor IR Dr. Wan Azhar bin Wan Yusoff. He also extend heartiest congratulations and thank you to Prof. Badrul Khan for a wonderful session with all of us. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
So looking forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, if you don't mind, we just have another moment of appreciation. Still, most of the participants, they have two sessions with us, Prof. The lucky draw and also the quiz from your session. So we would like to announce, do you mind, Prof? Okay,
no problem.
We would like to announce, it's not actually gender discrimination, but today the men conquer the day, because we have all the lucky draw winners from all the male winners. The first winner is Khairul Afandi bin Yusoff by the phone number 013-999-80595. Second winner, Muhammad Amirul Hakimin bin Muhammad Azmi. Oh yeah, he's the one who asked the question. He's laughing. Okay, very happy, I guess. 013-529-1106. And we have also Mr. Muhammad Farid bin Jaafar with the number 013-699-273. And the winner of the quizzes, which is the most handsome prize, we have the first winner, Mr. Kas Goh Chiu Yin with the number 012-6070-606. And we have Mr. Shazwan 012-344-6810. And finally, we have Mr. Azman bin Abdul Rahim. His phone number is 019-695-754. So basically, Prof, that's the end of our session. We also feel
I congratulate every one of the winners. Those who have not won, next time maybe be positive. Thank you.
Yeah. So kind of you, Prof. Thank you very much. So perhaps, Prof, we can organize a quiz that can win one of your masterpiece, your book, Prof.
Yes, if I come to Pahang time,
so we organize one,
sure
right?
I will sign, autograph my books and give it to some of the. Okay. Good.
Yes. So perhaps that's one of the way to promote education culture. That's most of the time we do celebrate the media celebrities from just one section, the entertainment, and now we have scholars like Prof. Badrul, Prof. Rozhan, and the rest to be part of the celebrity due to these new norms of e-learning. So we have e-learning celebrities from now on, right, Prof?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the new norms as well, right? Okay. Anyway,
maybe UPM can host ISMET.
Yeah, definitely. Inshallah, Prof.
Maybe
Great.
Your Vice Chancellor, Professor Yusoff
Azhar,
Azhar Yusoff can also help us with that. Well, thank you again. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. So I think this is the right moment to end our session. So we again want to say sorry and apologize for all the mishaps, Prof. Throughout.
No, it's wonderfully done. I'm glad that you are all here. So pray for me so I can do better thinking and better work. And also I pray for you all. And may Allah bless you all. Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you.
Okay, Amin. Good evening to Prof. Assalamualaikum. So by this, thank you everyone. So we end our session with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Wal-Asr. Okay, thank you. Bye. See you.